All right, we're back with yet another edition of #Feisty Friday. And thank goodness for that, because honestly, I need this vent session in my life. And you know what every good team needs? A solid defensive defenseman. But no, nobody ever wants to talk about those guys, because apparently it's just not as sexy as talking about goals and points. But why talk about points when you can talk about D-zone denial rate, okay? Yeah, that's right. I think it's about time we make actual defense cool again. So today, I'm going to give it up for a couple of studs who stay at home, lock the doors, and shut it down. And we're going to start with two of them who will face off against each other 4 straight times starting on Saturday. Let's start with the Hurricanes and Brett Pesce, who doesn't get nearly enough kudos for straight up rejecting dudes at the blue line every single night. I mean, he protects the house. He's like, nope, sorry, not coming in. I don't want visitors today, so you're going to have to turn around. I mean, take a look at his D-zone denial rate, which basically measures how often he keeps the enemy from getting into his house. 63.9%. Like, are you kidding? That's a monster number. No surprise, he ranks first in that category. Want to make a seam pass in the O-zone with Pesce on the ice? Huh. Unlikely. Guy blocks 8 of them a night. Good for second in the National Hockey League. And you definitely don't want to do battle with him on the boards, because all 6'4" and 200 lbs of him is probably going to come out with the puck and leave you empty-handed and stranded. First in the league in puck battle wins as well. Pesce is legit at protecting the house and dominating in categories that just don't make the highlight reel. Don't sleep on them. As for Tampa, Hedman is obviously their #1 horse, but this team is championship caliber because head coach John Cooper has options. Ryan McDonagh is a great example of a player who understands his role and excels at it. #1, he's a PK specialist. When Tampa's in a vulnerable spot, McDonagh is on the ice more than any other player on the team, and he blocks the most shots too. At 5-on-5, in terms of defensemen who've played at least 220 minutes, McDonagh's tied for 3rd in the NHL for fewest goals against at 6. He's old reliable. And before anyone says, yeah, well, technically he's on the 2nd pairing, so he doesn't face the toughest competition Hedman does, you would be wrong. At least that wasn't the case in their 3-game series against the Florida Panthers. Take a look at time on ice against Sasha Barkov at 5-on-5. It wasn't Hedman out there trying to shut down one of the best centers in the league, at least not the majority of the time. It was McDonagh by almost double. Not to mention, McDonagh starts just 23%. This is not an error. 23% of his shifts in the O-zone. Hedman, meanwhile, his O-zone starts percentage is around 57%. Cooper consistently puts Hedman out there in the offensive zone. I mean, understandably so. And McDonagh out there for defensive zone draws, which tells us that, yes, Hedman is a beast and gives his team a chance to score whenever he's on the ice. But it also tells us that when push comes to shove, Coach Coop has a heck of a lot of trust in McDonagh if he's throwing him into the D-zone over 70% of the time. Now, I say all of this not to take anything away from the many highlight reel making defensemen we have the good fortune of watching in the NHL on a nightly basis. Just try not to forget who the ones are that quietly and effectively keep your home safe. EJ, that's what I got. What do you think?
All right,
what do you think?
I like it.
They're pretty good numbers, right?
I like
That's
those
sassy.
numbers.
That's sassy.
I like those numbers.
I don't want to be on your bad side.
No, Scotty, you do not. But you know what? I think we spend so much time talking about the defensemen that put up the most points and have the most swagger offensively. But it's those stay-at-home defensemen that really, put a lot towards your team's success in terms of winning and keeping goals out of your own net.